This morning, beginning with Nigerian News Direct and the top story here. Poverty, porous borders are national security threats. Defense chief blames economic hardship for unending terrorism, banditry. Tinubu government fighting insecurity with agriculture, not just arms, according to Ribadu. Sanwo-Olu to commission West Africa's largest safety footwear factory today. Reps order customs to suspend 7% import levy by June 30th. Midterm retreat, Makinde unveils performance delivery compact to track results. VDM storms weakest residents, turns front gates to classroom over teachers' strike. Stages alphabet class with protesting school children. The federal government launches 2,000 tractors set to produce over 2 MMT of staple food. Onto Daily Independent. Farmers see food prices crashing over removal of roadblocks. To boost mechanized farming, Tinubu unveiled 1,000 tractors, vows to make farming attractive to youths, create jobs, pledges to turn rural 2026 opportunity to create opposition against APC messed up, according to Baba Ahmed. Don't compromise integrity of judiciary, CJN warns court administrators. Reps direct customs to halt 7% CISS levy collection. Nigeria achieves 40% revenue growth, hits 6.9 trillion naira milestone in Q1 of 2025. Shetima harps on informal sector business integration into AFCFTA. Iran says it retaliated against U.S. forces in Iraq and Qatar. Why 10th House prefers dialogue to confrontation with executive, according to Abbas. On The Nation, well, lots of promotional content here. Still talking about the commissioning going on in Abuja. Currently, University of Calabar joins beneficiaries of OPAs. So that's commercial, not for us. Straight to Salient Times. U.S. issues security alert, warns citizens to avoid military government facilities in Abuja. No security threat in Abuja. Nigeria replies U.S. Renewed hope agenda yielding results, Tinubu claims. Ensure release of abducted judge. Bayelsa governor direct security commanders. Akeredolu's widow condemns Ayedatiwa for demolishing Owo massacre memorial. NNPC increases petrol price to 915 naira per litre in Lagos, 945 naira per litre in Abuja. Federal government ramped up revenue generation to 6.9 trillion naira in Q1 2025. Edun speaks. Widows are not property to be inherited, according to the CAN chairman. And lastly here, Kano police rescue 19-year-old man from taking own life, discloses reason for action.
Okay, starting from The Guardian. NUC flood process unfolds, disclosure rock courses fastest accreditation. Reactions trail demolition of Owo church massacre victims. Senator. African leaders, activists hinge political apathy on bad leadership. EFCC arrests as ex and NPC chiefs over alleged $7.2 billion fraud. Abuja safe, no cause for alarm. FG assures amid U.S. travel warning. PDP chiefs dismiss AIDA coalition as weak attempt to oust Tinubu insecurity. Tinubu urged to investigate alleged complicity of security chiefs. Casualties from Plateau killings rise to 22. Lastly, right here on The Guardian, June 12, Yoruba group Anene accused Lamido Onanuga of distorting history. Nigerian Tribune. Akeredolu's wife on the government's palace trade words over demolition of Owo Church massacre monument. It's a request by the palace. Olowo in council says no communication on the development, says church. We are respecting tradition attributed to Ondo government. Iran launches missiles at U.S. base in Qatar. Alleged $7.2 billion fraud. EFCC arrest ex-NNPC's chief financial officer, ex-Warri Refinery MD. 2024, Dangote Cement spends 13.2 billion naira on CSR. pays 502.6 billion naira as dividends, moving over to Daily Times. 250 women die daily from maternal health issues in Nigeria. Customs proposes 1.13 trillion naira budget for 2025 despite poor fund utilization. Tinubu pledges support for farmers' grazing development. Petrol price jumps to 915 naira as crude oil rally weak naira bite. 5.4 million children face acute malnutrition in northern Nigeria, says report. Abuja remain safe for citizens visitors, says FG. FG backs Africa-led sustainable climate infrastructure development. And lastly, right here on Daily Times, Deputy Speaker Carlo leads PAP delegation to Europe Parliament. And the last one right here, Daily Global. Iran launches missiles at U.S. bases in Qatar, Iraq. Tinubu hands over ECOWAS leadership to Sierra Leone's bio. Senate to hold public hearing on Constitution review July 4. Coalition. ADA leaders begin mass mobilization nationwide. CNG FG secures agreement for additional 20 MSCF gas supply. Edo will give you 2.5 million votes in 2027. Governor Ogbodo promises Tinubu. We have no party registration application before us, says INEC. US warns citizens to avoid military government facilities in Abuja. Naira threatens over CBN intervention, FPI inflow. And lastly, right here, man 31 arrested for killing burying girlfriend in Edo.
All right. Thank you so much, Oji, for those headlines. So many headlines to look at this morning. I think we'll begin with, well, on here on Salient Times, and it's quite interesting because we're seeing the U.S. issuing a security alert warning citizens to avoid military government facilities in Abuja. Despite this, we still have the offices open. Nigerian government does not seem to be taking those proactive steps against the security warning. What do you make of this headline? Do you think that the U.S. mission should be taken seriously with regards to the security alert relating to the global developments that threaten security of the globe at large?
Yeah, the security alert should be taken very seriously. But what I'm looking at here is, why are we seeing gap between the U.S. and the Nigerian government? If they have intel that presupposes that there will be maybe an attack on government facilities, such intel should be shared with the Nigerian government even before the U.S. should come, even before we should make it open. They should first of all liaise with Nigerian government. We have a bilateral relationship with the United States. They have embassy there in Abuja. So many of their citizens are here in Nigeria. So why would you get such an intel and you've not checked it with the Nigerian federal government, you've not alerted them secretly, you've not actually informed them, and you're just going out telling people to move away as if we are in a war? I will not, because of the approach, I will not still say that people should not take their intel or their warning very, very serious, because the kind of intel and capacity they have to generate intel, I don't think Nigeria have reached half of what they can do. Sometimes attack could be planned and orchestrated within the borders, within our porous borders, and then bring it and hash it inside Nigeria without even you knowing. So the ways these terrorists and bandits are really operating now, I don't think such intel should be taken less serious. But what I'm saying is that there should be a kind of a share of intelligence between the U.S. and the Nigerian DSSS.
So do you think the reason why they might be countering it is because of how the message was passed? Not sharing the message first with the Nigerian government and just going out and just telling, hey, you guys should avoid certain places because there's security threats and breach of security, in also part of the military bases in Abuja. Do you think the reason why this is being countered is because of the way the message was related?
No, it's not only because of the way the message is related. There is rumor that even the Nigerian government is rigged with, those sponsoring terrorism. You understand? And those who are harboring bandits. There's this rumor that some working in Nigerian government now, as we speak, representing the Nigerian government in meetings and everything, that they know those who are sponsoring Boko Haram. They know those who are sponsoring bandits. They know those who are buying ammunition for them. Haven't you seen helicopter dropping aids for bandits in the bush? You know, all those kind. Who are those people doing all those things? Did you see the rumor of where the AID money were being funneled into, and all the rest of them? Up to now, the federal government never, yes, USA, up to now, the federal government never issued a statement upon that. Nobody was investigated. Nothing came out of it. So sometimes the US might even be finding it difficult to communicate with the Nigerian government because of these allegations of them, you understand, being in collusion with some terrorists, you understand, to achieve aim or the other. So in their own best interest, they know the reason why they are saying that this thing is not going to happen. And another thing you really have to put into consideration, that US can get an intel and just give it out because they don't owe you anything. They'll just give it out if your government is not really fighting terrorism, if your government is not really fighting corruption.
That's the reason why.
Yeah, they just give it out all the time. Let the people now act on it. But if we have people in our government who are sponsoring terrorism and they are planning, probably there will be an orchestrated attack in government facilities, you understand, they could just call it off. Yes, when you give such information, they can call it off. They will make you who give the information look like a fool. But they were planning something. If you hadn't said it the way you said it, they would have carried it out. So you really have to look at this from every ramification. And, you know, I think the Nigerian government should also, in security, that's what we call security level. Okay? When certain things start happening, you can raise the security alert level of a particular jurisdiction. But Nigerians don't want to do all those things. You don't raise it by bringing tanks. No, you raise it by ensuring that certain places that they will hit, that adequate protection is put in place. It may not be something that you can see with your eyes, but right there are security, you know, men, there are ammunition hidden everywhere. You cannot see them, but the security level of that place has been risen. So if you try to attack them, the speed with which they will use to repel will be very, very fast, to show you that the security alert of that place has been raised. But I don't know why we are just paying lip service to security issues in this country.
Okay,
right. Okay. Let's jump into this headline now. Daily Independent: farmers see food prices crashing over removal of roadblocks to boost mechanized farming. Tinubu unveils 2,000 tractors. Now, you'd recall that during the Democracy Day address, Tinubu assured that he will make agriculture sexier for farmers. And we're seeing that happening at this point in time. What do you make of this attempt to boost food security in the nation? Every
attempt to make food abundant for the nation is welcome. But what I used to complain about is this approach we have been adopted when a particular sector is complaining. We just rush there, like pour water on the garden, you understand, and stay where we are. When another sector is complaining, we rush there.
Eye service.
It's eye service. We need a long job. Look, this country has the largest arable land for farming in the entire sub-Saharan African. We should be, you see, I learned something when Trump came into office. When he was increasing tariff, it was then that I sat down and I started calculating business exchange between one nation or the other. Agriculture used to be our mainstay. If we have a long-term project, I have been shouting here, NYSC should be either scrapped or turned in, all of them into agriculture, in any base where they are. Let them go into mechanized agriculture, let them go into poultry, let them go into piggery, because you find out that those three badges, badge A, badge B, and badge C, if they leave going to work in these offices, let them be plunged into agriculture, organic, you understand? You find out that at the end of the day, they will make a whole lot of money. The nation will be blossomed with food. But the problem I have with all this agricultural plan is that, can it be long-term, and can we also fight insecurity? Insecurity is making agriculture look like a child's play in Nigeria. Because if you really, the media is not even reporting all the things that farmers are facing. You understand? I don't know whether they are, you know, trying to suppress what farmers are. Just 2 days ago in Jos, you understand, farmers, the attack has resumed, you understand, and every time farmers. Yes, Mr. President can provide all these tractors and make it available for those who are ready to use them. But within the next couple of months, probably after this agricultural season, you will see them lying moribund in one farmland or the other, because there's no long-term plan. You understand? There's no long-term plan. If the bandits come and chase all of them away, they will leave all those things and run.
That's right.
There's no long-term plan. They should make a long-term plan. They shouldn't be reacting to things. You have a very big drum and they are leaking, or you plug here will be leaking. Before you finish plugging this one, it's leaking. Security is leaking, agriculture is leaking, education is leaking. You read the rider here where they say that poverty and porous border, you understand, is an existential threat to the governance of any nation, because you can't tell people not to go and get food to eat. You can't tell people, talk about insecurity when people are hungry. So all these things they are interwoven. Mr. President should put good hands on deck and ensure that we have both a short-term plan and a long-term plan for agriculture. So that's my take on that.
It's safe to say that on certain times, as President Tinubu said, renewed hope agenda yielding results. It's safe to say it's not yielding results.
See, forget about what Mr. President...
So let's look at actions of very dark man in Abuja. Very dark man, Martins Otse. Now, you do realize that this social media critic, as it's been described, has garnered widespread public appreciation, public support, because of his actions, his activism over time. You've seen him come through for issues relating to the drum that you've described as Nigeria, with the many holes that we can't just...
Many holes.
Right, so now we saw him protest outside the residence of Nyesom Wike, the FCT minister, over what we're seeing now still on Daily Independent, that this was following plans by Wike to withhold 10% of statutory allocation to area councils due to their failure to implement the new minimum wage for primary school teachers, an issue that has led to the ongoing strike. So because these pupils don't have any classrooms to go to or schools because their teachers are currently on a strike, VDM has taken them to the residence of Nyesom Wike, saying that outside his residence would be their new classroom, and is teaching them how to recite letters of the alphabet and a couple of words to go with that. How do you feel about the actions of very dark man?
Very dark man is forceful, very dark man is outspoken, very dark man is fearless. But in certain ways, when you see administration having issue, okay, I think there are some steps that would have been taken, probably approaching Wike privately, writing a letter, or trying to do some other things, so that you too, who is doing activism, can also gain insight on problem.
What about accessibility? Would it be that easy for a very dark man to access?
I don't know whether he tried that. I am just suggesting. I don't know whether he tried that. Yes, I have my observations against Nyesom Wike, but if you've been to Abuja lately, you can also bear me witness that he is working, he is doing what he can do within the ambit of his official capacity. So if there is a field or probably a kind of a friction between him and some administration or education, it should something that should be talked over, so you can get the actual the two sides of the story. When you now do that and nothing is done, you can now, go ahead and bring the pupil out in front of his residence. Let it be there. He can go ahead and put some canopy, as long as they leave a pathway where Wike can drive and go out and come back.
But even when they're protesting,
protest could be in any form. Protest could be in any form, but let it not be violent, let it not be harmful. Let it has nothing to do with destruction of properties.
Right.
But you can engineer protests in any manner, in any form.
So
that
let's
you want
then talk about fuel prices. Certain times,
yes.
NNPC increases petrol price to 950 naira per liter, and that's in Lagos, and 945 naira per liter in Abuja. Are you surprised?
I'm very, very surprised. I read the news this morning. I said, wow, where is it actually coming from? I thought we have stabilized this downstream sector. I thought that the new refinery, you understand, coupled with a few weeks ago, I heard that the quantum of fuel that is being imported into this country, lying down in so many reserve facilities, that they can serve this country for quite a long time. I keep on wondering why the sudden increment in the fuel price. I don't know where. They have to give us a reason why that is happening. Because if you watch this economy, you can bear me witness that the stability of energy affects almost everything in the market. Yes, we know that there have been a kind of a hike in food in the market, but when you find out that the fuel price could be maintained over a long period of time, it will help people to buy and store. It will help people to project that yes, this is going to be the price of fuel. So let me maintain based on this price, I can do this business, I cannot do that business. Oh, but when they start hiking it again, it will really, really disrupt this little strength that Naira is gaining. And also the stability of food in open market, it will definitely start going up high again. And that will be another kind of pressure on the side of the people. I think they should give us reason why that happened, and also tell us when the price will go back to its normal price, or probably go down a little bit. It helps people to cope with this hardship coming up from this administration.
Will it ever end?
It will end.
As a question.
It will end. When we have good government, it will end. I am expecting that this coalition will.
That's what I want to bring.
I am expecting that this coalition will, you know, come through. And yes, I was on TikTok or X. I was listening to Rufai, you know, talking with this bravado and gusto. You understand that anyone who thinks that Tinubu will return back in 2027 is a joker, that it will never happen, that it doesn't happen. So when the coalition is now coming up with ADA and all the rest of them, I'm looking at their leadership, the people they have selected that they're going to work with all over the nation. I'm looking at them, I'm looking at how they will, you know, garner the, you know, resources required to make that coalition tick. But like I've always said, there are things that need to be done. Electoral reform is fundamental. Electoral reform is fundamental. If you don't change the leadership, if you don't overhaul INEC and include all those electoral reform into law before 2027, there's nothing you can do. APC will still find their way into into government and probably ask you to go to court at the end of the day.
Let's talk about the cracks right now. The Guardian. PDP chiefs dismiss AIDA coalition as weak attempt to oust Tinubu. That's one from PDP. And this one from the Independent. 2027 elections, opportunity to create opposition against APC messed up, says Baba Ahmed. So, Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, former political advisor to President Tinubu, was talking about the people championing this cause of AIDA. Those ones championing it are not the face of AIDA, are not meant to be there, right? Because Nigerians don't trust them. So apparently he's talking about Atiku Abubakar, Rufai, Amechi, and co, right? What do you make of this, really? Because people are actually paying attention to that. Like, these people championing this thing, can we even trust these people, you know, to take us to where we want to be at? And to even unseat this man, the president of Nigeria. So that has been a question somehow in people's minds somewhere, right? Can we even trust this man? Or are they doing this for their personal political interests as usual? Or they really want to save Nigerians?
I believe that their track record may not be 100% positive, okay? But do we trust our president now? The president that is ruling us now, do we trust him?
So we even tell you, let Tinubu finish his 8 years.
No. He can't until we all finish to die. He can't finish his 8 years. While I've been clamoring for an opposition is because you may not clinch the presidential seats at once, but if the opposition keeps on ticking, they'll be taking states, taking local government, having member of the house. That's how a political party is built. You don't just come out from the blue and you stretch and you grab the what do you call it, the presidential election like APC did in 2015. You understand? They left PDP, formed APC, went straight. Sometimes it doesn't work. But if you build it up, you can be getting states, getting senators, picking seats here and there. Before you know it, it will tick up. But let me tell you something. Anyone who is criticizing this group of politicians who are coming out to form AIDA, you understand? Can the person give us a list? Can the person give us a list of other people who will represent these men from this 6 geopolitical zone? I may not remember all of them, but I know that Atiku is from the northeast, Rufai is from the northwest, and then this former military man is from the north central, okay? Obi is from the southeast, and then Amechi is from the southwest. And then when you... South. When you bring all these men together, they have political experience, they've been in power, they may not agree with one another, but there is one mission at stake to remove Tinubu in power to come 2027. So I believe that I have a lot of things in stock. What I'm saying is that you cannot be criticizing all the time. If you think that those people are not properly selected, if you think they will not be trusted, okay, go in and join them. Present your case. Go in and join them. This coalition they've been working without sleep for the past 9 months, and they are coming out with this, and you're telling me that they cannot be trusted. Our president now, do we trust him? Don't you have a drug case abroad? Have an identity issue? If you say that we trust this president ruling us now, Buhari and Tinubu can rule Nigeria. Anybody can rule Nigeria. Yes. If Buhari without a certificate, can become a president, and Supreme Court cannot even say, if Tinubu that has drug case all over the world and identity issue can be our president, and he will look you in the face and ask you to go and sing your old national anthem and confuse you, anybody can rule this country. Yes, anybody can rule this country. But anybody can rule this country.
Another question bothering people, right? So now the coalition, either they're trying to push for the registration and all that. Then the question boils down to now, where is the flag bearer going to come from? Is it south or north? Knowing fully well that the northerners would be like, oh, if you put a southerner, would he agree to do 4 years or complete his 8 years? That means it's 12 years before the north, gets to power again. Or a northerner. And also, people are actually having this permutation that since Atiku Abubakar is the one, here fronting this, that probably he's trying to position himself too.
See, it is good for either or the opposition or the coalition to key into this already existing political atmosphere in Nigeria, because the North have had their 8 years, and now the South is about to have their 8 years, or you can call it that, 4 years and another 4 years.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to draw the political map, okay, and if you want to factor in how Nigerians voted in 2023, okay, you will know that it will be very, very productive for this ADA to bring in a candidate from the South.
What I'm saying, the South?
I said a candidate from the South.
Or the Southeast.
Now, I think, not because I'm from the Southeast, I think that we have to know that if we are bringing out somebody, it really has to be someone who can, bring the whole nation together, take us to that place that we really want to be. And you can't do without Obi. Obi keeps on, ringing in the heart of anyone who has this nation at heart. Okay, this is a man who has a track record. This is, if you give him that 4 years, if you ask him, look at what I'm thinking. Okay, we can get Obi to be the flag bearer of ADA. Okay, but you should know that whatever Obi is doing will be continued. Okay, if he wins, it will be continued by a northern president for the next 4 years. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah.
All right. So still a follow-up to what we discussed. I think that was on Monday. We're looking at the CAN chairman stated emphatically at a recent event in Minna that widows are not property to be inherited. So we see some traditions where when a woman loses her husband, you start to see relatives swooping in to share the assets and even the wives as well amongst themselves. So he is stating that widows should not be seen as objects or pieces of assets that they can just inherit, that they should be given their due dignity even after losing their husbands. What do you make of that headline?
I really like that, but the issue here is that it all has to do with the widow herself. Okay, and the culture that are prevalent in the place where the widow have found themselves. When we tell women to be properly educated, have something doing, have a job, you understand, it's very, very good. It's not just for the immediate. Anything can happen tomorrow and you'll be thrown out. When I became a lawyer, I handled a case of a widow in Anambra. Immediately the husband died. The husband's family came and used this big chain and locked all the shop at Onitsha Main Market. They locked all the shop. They collected all the land documents of the man, and they gave that woman, I think, 2 million naira to hold, which she will be using to be taking care of those small kids who were still in school. Then this was like around 2011, 2012. It was a horrible story. I visited her personally. I knew that if you really don't make this woman understand that even when your husband is not there, you understand, you still belong to that family. If you want, if you know that, yes, I've had children for this man, I still want to own his things, I still want to stay there, I'm still a member of this family. And people should know that if a man is rich, okay, he is rich for his own family. And also, yes, we Igbos, we like taking care of our relatives. But at the instance of death, please, like Natalie rightly pointed out, the belongings of that man, including the widow, is not something that all the siblings will come around and say that they want to share amongst themselves. No one cares about the bleeding woman. No one cares about the children. No one cares about. There's this culture in Igbo land, though. There's this culture in Igbo land. If, let's take for instance, you and I are brothers. You understand? And we got married, and then something happens to you. They will now say that I will now have to, kind of take your wife, you understand, and start marrying your wife. I don't know whether such culture is still prevalent right now. If she has not given birth to a child and she wants to stay in that family, one of the brothers around can start marrying that woman, you understand. It's a culture, is acceptable in Igbo land. I don't know whether it's still prevalent these days. But no culture should be against the freedom, no culture should be against the right of a widow. Widow's right should be, respected to the last alphabet. Where we have problem is the intention of the widow at the end of the day. Sometimes they would want to remarry and leave that family entirely. Sometimes they would want to be there, lay their hands on one or two things to enable them to raise their children. More importantly, when they have, had one or two kids for that man. So, and I think this is where activists should really flunk in, because when politicians make statements at the pages of newspaper, they don't visit the place to know whether those people are really being, abused or not. Sometimes they don't even have the voice to speak out. So coming closer to them, knowing what they want and how to help them helps a long way. That's right.
Now, before we let you go, one last headline. I know you have to be on transit now. You roll your eyes at me, but just very quickly. As on Daily Global, Senate to hold public hearing on constitutional review. July 4th. I mean, it will be so embarrassing if you leave here without talking about it. This is your jurisdiction, no pun intended. How do you feel? What should be the major indices of such a review?
There is a whole lot that needs to be done in that constitution. I don't know how far they will go. The last Senate did constitutional review. Even Jonathan, confab, and money were spent. Where is the draft copy of that constitutional review? So many things were recommended. I'm a lawyer. Let me tell you this. This country is replete with laws that cannot be implemented. That's my problem. Each time we gather, they make one law or the other, and we are suffering not because we don't have laws, but because of non-implementation of those laws. If these very members of the Senate wishes to embark on constitutional review, they should have electioneering at heart. If you review the constitution and you bring in everything, you create 38 states, you do everything you want to do, but you've not looked at electoral laws. This is the actual thing that is making Nigeria to fall apart. So they can go ahead and do what they want to do, but let them accomplish something before the commencement of 2027 election, because that's the only thing that will show us that it has been reviewed and more things has been incorporated. Nigeria is bleeding, and if they handle that document very well, I believe that it will stop so many problems that Nigerians are facing today.
All right. Thank you, Barrister Chidi, for being a part of the review today. Thank you for making our time. I wish you a great day ahead.
Thanks.
All right, and if you're just joining us, good morning. We made it. We really did. Good morning, all the way from Enugu. We hope you're enjoying the show so far. Do have to drop comments on this stream, wherever you may see it, or even when you do see this feed up on YouTube at Afia TV, right there online. We'll go on a quick break now. When we return, we're taking regional stories, talking about what Governor Alex Oti is doing in Abia State, and bringing it back to Nsukka, where the flooding at Ugwoye persists. We'll get reports and insights from Afia TV correspondents in just moments. Stay tuned.
ladies. Join us on Gyno Plus every Wednesday.
Welcome back to the Afia Morning Show, live from Enugu, Nigeria. I'm Nnadi, and of course, this is when we take regional stories, beginning in Umuahia, Abia State, where Governor Alex Oti will, on the 10th of July, flag off the construction of the $1.3 billion Abia Medical City. Afia TV's Deputy Chief Correspondent, Emmanuel Wazwe, reports that the State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Okekano, made this known during a press briefing after the State Executive Council meeting. Take a look.
Facility when completed with future 1,000 capacity hospital. 1,000 bed capacity hospital will set up the heart facilities. So also future facilities for medical tourism, 5-star hotel facility and accommodation for both patients and their families. Because aware, and we mentioned this severally, that the total cost of the project is good at $1.3 billion. It's a collaborative project between the state government and MKB National Holdings on a build, operate and transfer.
And meanwhile, the state government is reintroducing sanitary inspectors, locally known as Ndi Oleala, to consolidate its environmental protection policy across the state.
The real introduction of these sanitary reflectors is one further step in the state government's agenda to deepen the successes already recorded in the area of environmental cleanliness in the state. After the formal launch here in Umuahia, the program will be replicated in the 17 areas, local government areas of the state to ensure the services of these sanitary inspectors are domiciled in our local community.
Throwing more light on this development, Mr. Okereke, the General Manager of the Abia State Environmental Protection Agency, ASEPA, says his agency has the required manpower to effectively execute the task.
I want to assure you that the process, now we're at the end, we went through more like integrating the sanitary inspectors. They are not new civil servants, so to say. We have them already in our workforce. So we've gone through a kind of refresher training. So do not worry, we have enough manpower to do the inspection and enforcement of sanitary rules and regulations across the state.
All right, and there you have it. Plans for the construction of a medical city, multi-million dollar medical city there in Abia State. Multi-billion dollar, $1.3 billion worth of medical city in Abia State. What do you make of that, Oji?
Almost be approaching trillions, right? Oh, it's great. I love the effects in the south. Is it happens in Enugu.
I heard somewhere five-star hotel. I heard five-star hotel somewhere.
It happens in Enugu. It's about to happen in Abia. It's happening in Abia. It's about to happen in Enugu. So I just hope that other state governors follow suit, and this kind of infrastructural development. If we make it robust. If you come down south, is definitely is going to be like that state you want to remain in and invest in all that stuff. So, medical tourism is also a very good way to yield revenue for a state. As you are seeing in Enugu, there are beds already being constructed, and whenever you move around there, you see that work is going on. And as the same way this construction is being flagged off in Abia State is a welcome development. These are kind of things we need to see and want to be seen.
I think so as well. All right, let's now bring it back to Enugu, where we're still following this developing story concerning the Ugwoye flooding incident. Now, just days after 3 primary schools were flooded, Ugwoye in Nsukka is now grappling with a full-blown flooding crisis. What began as a localized disaster has escalated, leaving the entire road impassable and residents reeling from the devastation. Afia TV's correspondent Elijah Akuma now reports.
Can't find words to express how bad the situation is here at Ugwoye. Let's take a walk and run some interviews and speak with 1 or 2 persons that may be open to talk to us about the situation of things on the road. Because from what we can see here, motorists can't pass, vehicles can't pass, even pedestrians can't even pass through this road because of the ugly nature of things.
Ugwoye, a community usually bustling with life, is now choked by flood waters. As the rain continues, the situation has deteriorated rapidly, transforming homes and businesses into islands in a murky sea. What started as a threat to education has now become a threat to livelihoods and the very foundation of this community. The scenes are heart-wrenching as residents watch their lives disrupted and their futures uncertain.
Where we dey now Ugwoye Junction. See how rain they do us every season for here. Motor no they pass. Even person wey there for in room, water they enter inside. Church, the same thing. All the house where they near the Ugwoye side. And so water they disturb them for that side. So if you not see how water full everywhere. Even motor, even machine, even leg, no they pass. So that's all we see. Please, government, we need your help.
I've been using this road for several years, but each time there is rain, this road continues to disturb us. The former governor have done his best to make sure that the place will be true, but the maintenance is the problem that we have. So what we have here as a problem is the maintenance. Not to create road or create gutters by the side. It might not cause the problem, but the maintenance of the gutters and the road to tool the place so that the water will be going through the gutter that they have created for it.
Linus paints a grim picture of poor maintenance, with the road impassable. Businesses are crippled, access to essential services is cut off, and the community is essentially isolated.
You can see behind me the situation of things after the rain. Just some hours ago, I was here after the rainfall, and you can see the devastating nature of things. Here, Enugu Express Road is not motorable. People can't pass. In fact, I found it very difficult to get to this point this morning. My shoes, my clothes were just messed up because the roads were really overflooded.
The economic damage is immense. Small business owners who rely on daily trade have lost their inventory and their ability to earn a living. Transporters who relied on daily income to sustain their lives have been challenged by this ugly occurrence. The situation in Ugwoye is dire. The flood waters continue to rise, and the residents are in desperate need of swift intervention. When contacted by Afia TV, the chairman of Nsukka local government area, Engineer Jude Asogwa, stated that his team will do its best to salvage this situation. As we look forward to that, the long-term challenge will be to address the underlying causes of the flooding and implement sustainable solutions to prevent future disasters. In Nsukka, Elijah Akuma, reporting for Afia TV.
And as evidently seen on the screen as we watch this morning, you can see that this problem transcends the primary schools and onto that major road connecting Nsukka to Enugu. And I actually did later realize that I was actually a part of that flood. It had started raining just minutes before I left Nsukka during my last visit. And I realized that it started to flood. I saw rushing fast on one side. I saw that the car was struggling to get through. And it's after seeing these stories, I'm now realizing that if I had stayed at the university town just 1 hour longer or 20 minutes longer, perhaps I would have had to sleep over. Because I didn't realize that the driver was so bold to have continued to move, despite the fact that it wasn't this bad yet, but was getting to this point. I just saw that it was getting flooded, but I didn't realize for the life of me that behind me, this kind of flood could actually be building up as we were passing by. I was just there relaxing, using my phone, not knowing that this thing, some drivers are so bold, they're quite bold.
Yeah, well, now is the time to address the issue, right? Because it's been persistent, it's been happening. So is the commissioner for environment needs to step in, because this is what happens every year. It keeps happening. Now they have to find a short-term or long-term way to fix this problem, because there's no need whenever it rains, everywhere is flooded and everywhere is keeping quiet and not paying attention to avert what the problem is. That's or even counter it, right? So because so many stuff are going to be lost here, people's businesses, vehicles, and you might actually lose your life right here, because of this flooding, right?
Yeah, so where that could happen is if you're not sure of the depth of a gully or something, and then
you can step into the gutter and
you can see that vehicles can still move, so it's not that deep. But where there is a gully or perhaps a part where the closed drainage is open, maybe has lost a particular block, that's when you fall inside and you can't get up. That's how people get washed away.
I assume you don't know the access areas of that road.
That's right.
You don't know where there's a hole or whatnot, so you can slip or fall into anything. So it needs to be addressed and fixed, because it's been happening. Next year again, if this is not looked into, it's going to happen again.
So I was doing some research yesterday and found that these stories have been coming up since 2018. At least that was as far back as I went, reading up on stories of people complaining about this Ugwoye axis in Nsukka. Now this flooding is something that has seemed to transcend or, it's beyond a lot of administrations to solve. Ugwoye tried in 2020. I saw a story of him saying that he was going to send forth a team to fix it, but that wasn't achieved. Evidently, we're still seeing. I think he tried, the drainages were set up, but you still have a problem. There's a problem with the drainage system that is blocked.
Are you sure somehow it's not human factor?
The human factor, evidently, as we learned earlier, Elijah saw that waste had obviously clogged some of the drainage system. So the human factor is there, but then there is a major other problem with the construction of the drain, that something keeps on blocking it internally. The Ministry of Works also needs to look into that.
Yeah,
because whomever constructed it clearly
also,
did not.
It boils
fix
down
something.
to the people we contract some of these, works, to carry out, and just do shoddy,
That's right.
works, and after the aftermath is this thing you're seeing.
But
if
you look at it, it's a closed drainage system. It looks standard. The roads are good. Let's point that out. The roads underneath the water are really good.
Well, it's not corrected.
But
that's the reason why we're still experiencing what we're experiencing.
Yes, and now the Ministry of Environment has a role to play, but you also have SEMA. You need NEMA because
some institutions.
Everybody will collect.
This
water will splash on everybody.
So because there are so many institutions, works, environments, so many institutions and all that. And well, let's hope that we're going to get a lasting solution this time around. Because I know the leadership of Barrister Peter Mba would want to put an end to this since it's being called out, and also Lawrence Ugwaya, Governor Lawrence Ugwaya, also tried to work on this, and well, you can see the aftermath. But
yes.
I just hope that we'll get a lasting solution, because next year, if we don't treat this, it's still going to happen. Yeah,
so it was quite calm before now. One would say, oh, why hasn't this been covered before now? Well, the rainy season is heavy upon us right now, and this has been observed. I never would have thought it would be this bad, but here we see it.
Don't it be bad when it rains up to like 5-6 hours? Do you know what it means? Downpour for 5-6 hours. Place clogged are going to definitely flood, and that's what we're experiencing right now.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's go on a quick break now, and we're supposed to have an interview with the Commissioner for Environment, Professor Sam Ugu. We'll try to connect with him right after this break and also gain insights on how Ugwoye looks this morning. From Afia TV correspondent, he'll paint a picture of how, well, should we say, the flood has finally drained away. I know some children watching this now would imagine a massive sink and the drain just going down. Let's see if that's happened, if the water is making its tornado move down the drain this morning. Stay tuned. The morning show returns in just seconds as we continue to follow the Ugwoye flooding incident. Don't go anywhere. welcome back. You're still on to the Afia Morning Show. This is Tuesday morning. We're still following the Ugwoye flooding crisis currently ravaging that part of Nsukka. Joining us now on the show is the Honorable Commissioner for Environment in Enugu State, Professor Sam Ugu. Professor Ugu, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us. Sir, can you hear us?
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to have you join us.
I'm hearing you clearly.
Great, great. Thank you for joining us this morning on the show. So we're still looking at what is happening in Ugwoye and some parts of Nsukka, and it's great that you're here because we'd appreciate a picture of what is really going on, because we're just speculating at this point. Business owners are complaining, residents are complaining, primary schools are complaining. What is really the reality on ground and the efforts of your ministry so far?
Thank you. Yeah. The flooding at Ugwoye and some parts of Nsukka is a very serious problem, and we noticed this last year. I think the major problem started last year, and I mean when we got the reports was last year, and we didn't waste time in going to look at the problem. We confronted the problem last year by ensuring that there were lots of massive desettling along the drainages, right from Ugwoye down to Ogbodo and to the markets, then to the university road too. Also extended to Odenibo. We did extensive desettling last year. But at the end of the day, we
network glitch. Yes, can you hear us clearly, Professor Ugu?
It's not the problem. The clearing of these drainages last year and early this year, we did our own also some structural defects of drainage. Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, the network is a little shaky, but we were trying to get your message across. Go ahead, Professor Ugu.
Okay, so I said last year and this year, that's 2024 and early this year, we did a lot of massive, clearing of the drainages in collaboration with the Chairman of Nsukka local government. Has done a lot of job there, but we discovered that the issue is not the clearing of the drainages. It has gone beyond that, and we discovered that some structural defects on the drainages built along that Ugwoye down to the university road. There are a lot of some structural problems, and we have made contact with the former contractors, and we have made some serious advances in a discussion with them on we're asking them to come back and tackle the problem. Mm-hmm. We have also discovered that there are some people have built on waterways within the adjoining streets. And when it rains, you see all the water coming back to the road because of poor supervision of the way people build. So people build indiscriminately, and of course, flooding is also caused by human activities. So all those things are being looked at, and the Enugu State government is very much aware of this problem through the Minister of Environment. Chairman of the local government in Nsukka has also intimated the government about the effects of this massive flooding along Nsukka Road. We've equally gone to witness it. We've gone to Nsukka to see the effect of this, and efforts have been made to tackle this problem. It's really massive, and it's happening at the major heart of the town. So efforts have been made. Within few weeks now, something will be done about that.
All right, Oji,
Can you Prof, outline some of the concepts to avert this come next year? As you stated already, so many structures are even one of the reasons why this flooding started again this year. Can you give us maybe a short-term laid out plan or long-term laid out plan, to have a sustainable solution? Because come next year, if these things are not tackled, we're going to be experiencing the same thing. Your thoughts, sir?
Thank you. We cannot wait till next year. It will be sorted out this year. We are discussing with the RCC, the people that built the road. And when we finish discussions, they will come and tackle those structural defects that we found out.
Now, speaking about this crisis...
We can't wait till next year. Wait till next year.
Okay, so is this a crisis that can be contained by the Ministry of Environment? Is this something that the Ministry of Environment is honing?
It's the state government that will do that. The state government is beyond the ministry, but of course, there's no difference between the ministry and the state government.
But they're stepping up to
it already. Know that let me finish answering one before you come in.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so the angle we're looking at is that the contractors that did the job, if we reach terms with them, if they don't, we can get another contractor that can come and look at these defects we have discovered. We took some engineers to those places and they discovered some problems which we have articulated.
So what is it mitigating a solution right now, or the temporary solution, alternative for all of those businesses that are currently operating along that road before indeed we get some reports of a fatal tragedy? What is the plan for those businesses that are currently submerged in the Ogbodo flood currently?
Yeah, some remedial measures that are being made is making sure that these drainages are not they don't get blocked anymore. The silting will continue to be a continuous exercise. The local government is doing, the Minister of Environment is equally doing something about it. So these are the remedial measures we are doing until major, structural work is done to avert this crisis.
So are we saying that there is no solution for those businesses, those buildings that are currently along that axis? Are they to stay there, the residents to stay there until something is done?
What do you think should be done? Can you give a suggestion?
I mean, that's not, it's beyond,
I've told you,
beyond the AM show anchors.
You are asked of remedial measures. You are asked of remedial measures, and I've told you what we are doing.
So what are you doing?
What we are doing is to curtail the expansion of this flood. And some drainages are already being extended. There's one at the back of University of Nigeria where those the drainage is emptied, and the chairman is doing something about it. I had a discussion with him yesterday, and we told him that he should continue what he's doing while we're also extending our own efforts to augment what the chairman is doing to remedy it. But the major work will be done by probably the contractor that did the job,
so
a new one.
Right. How long has this problem persisted? Because according to some research I conducted yesterday, I've been seeing reports about this flooding since 2018. How long would you say the ministry has found that this has persisted?
It was last year we got this report. But we know that even before we came into power, we've been hearing about pockets of flooding in Nsukka. It has been a perennial problem. It's beyond 2018 you are talking about. There has been a lot of flooding. If you look at the other roads going towards Six Flags, there used to be flooding right from the University of Nigeria going towards this community that's very close to the University of Nigeria. There has been a perennial problem there, but it has not got into this magnitude.
Right.
And this thing, they got to us last year. That was when we got the pictures, and then we went to the place and started this research, which we did last year and early this year, thinking that it was a blockade of these drainage channels that are causing the problem. But we found out that it is not. A lot of work has been done to clear these drainages, yet it's persisting.
What's the remedy for travelers who have no other routes to apply but that road when they're traveling down to the metropolis?
There are alternative roads.
All right. Do you encourage them to take those alternative roads?
Yes. Now, how can you sit then down, you go into it? When you get to Ogbodo, just after Queens, there's a road there, Ak Road. You can follow there and then take your right, take your left, and then you get to where you are going to.
What effort has the ministry made to communicate these alternatives to the travelers? Well, I would like you to please list out the alternative routes, but what effort has the ministry taken, the proactive steps to communicate these alternative routes to travelers before danger strikes?
Yes. Yeah. People know these roads. Anybody applying to Suka, even strangers, they know this road. They have been existing for a long time. So, however, if those of you in media can also do that, because you are supposed to do investigative journalism and to find out what is happening there. The chairman of the local government, I know, has also made some announcements over that, and they are doing that. People are hearing it. I was at Osuka 2 weeks ago, and it rained, and I saw people turning back. They were being told what to do, and all of us had to take that alternate road to come back. That was very close to the market. We had to turn back to use Oba Road, and they followed it and come out from safe areas, and we started coming back to Enugu. So there are alternate roads. You can follow Halmona Road, you can follow that University Road, you can also follow Ako Road, and then you come down to the town. The major place where this thing is happening is that particular Ugboye, and then where you have First Bank, and then some residential areas between the left and right hand side of the road is a serious problem, and we are not taking it lightly.
All right, you talked about investigative journalism, so I would like to ask what exactly this is, because this is just coming to the forefront now based on investigations by Afia TV, and we are just learning now, following those investigations, the official alternative routes that travelers can take. But let's leave that at that. Now, coming to the timeline, you said come next year we would not be talking about this crisis. What exact timeline is the Ministry of Environment given to rectify this so that business owners, travelers and residents can feel that indeed there would be an end?
I've already given you time. I said this thing cannot occur next year if efforts are being made to tackle it.
The Enugu State government is popular for giving timelines to rectify issues. So what timeline can you be held accountable for?
This year, I'll give you this year will be tackled. You know, now it is ready to be very difficult for any contractor to come and do any job now. It will be very difficult.
All right.
So
after the rain,
remedial measures will be done within this rainy season, but the major work will be done in the dry season.
Okay.
Hello?
All right. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Professor Ugu, for joining. And we hope that sometime this year we'll get the remedial job action done on that road. Thank you for making our time to be with us today.
No, that's what I didn't say next year. I said this year.
Yes, precisely. Before the end of this year, we'll get that before next year.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you, Professor Ugu, for joining us on the show today.
Quite.
We'll go on a quick break now. When the morning show returns, we'll be catching up with Elijah as we look into what the state is this morning, if indeed it has finally dried or drained so that residents can go ahead with their daily business. It's a quick situation report too for travelers who may be waiting to, get something done along the axis. But now we have heard from the commissioner that please do well to follow alternative routes. Avoid that particular Enugu road and go through Aku Road, as well as other roads that would be further publicized in subsequent bulletins right here on Afia TV. Avoid that road because you don't know if it's going to rain when you're finally done buying the Onsuka banana and cashew nuts on your way back to Enugu. On the way back, you'll be buying and it will start raining. So let's not be victims of ignorance or forced ignorance, so to speak. The morning show returns in just seconds with Elijah and Afia TV political and economic correspondent Nnadi Obaya for more conversations around this and the way forward. Stay tuned.
bá ní nǹkan ó ṣe tí ò bá ṣe kò sí ní tẹ́nìkan kan lè fi wá ṣe.
welcome back to the Biafra Morning Show live from Enugu, Nigeria. Of course, it's still a very interesting lineup for you. On the show today, we're far from over, even though the time is very much against us. We're joined now in the studio by Biafra TV political and economic correspondent, Nnadi Obaya. Nnadi, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Good to have you. Now, you can hear the bike right there in the distance. That is a sign that Elijah Akuma, Biafra TV correspondent in Nsukka, is also on with us. Elijah, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Natalie.
Good morning, Elijah. And of course, you can see that you're live there at the site that you covered yesterday, the Ugwoye access in Nsukka. Could you please give us a situation report of how it looks this morning, hours after the devastating flood yesterday?
Okay, it's quite a sunny day here this morning, as against what was the case yesterday. Yesterday was quite heavy. The heavy downpour caused a very serious flooding on this exact road yesterday. But today, everybody is up, happy, and as though nothing happened yesterday. So we can still see signs of the flooding on the two roads. By my left here, we still have some of the water still dumped. As the other side, same thing is the case. So as of yesterday, this road that people are passing, the road was not motorable. People were swimming just to figure themselves out or to find their path. I think there was a part that a vehicle got stuck inside the road and they missed the waters. But today, the situation here is good and everybody is on as soon as nothing happened.
So it's safe to call it a mystery flood, if we can call it that. It just comes and then at the break of dawn, it just disappears. I'm curious to know how it disappears. Is it still the same drainages? Perhaps it just drains a little slower, or maybe the sun does its morning show magic.
I doubt this is the handwork of the sun. I believe the waters find the way they find their way down to whichever channel that is available for them. The only problem is that the drainage systems are not well equipped. They are not good enough to handle the water. Because from the respondents I spoke to yesterday, this is something they experience every rainy season. It's not that it just happened this year. It's something they experience every rainy season. So towards this time, every year, they are already prepared in their mind that something like this is going to happen. Okay. Then even I'm very close to the school where I cover the story. The environment, their field is flooded. So these children can't even play in their playground. They can't make use of the playground anymore because the waters are just everywhere. Okay, and then here, as of yesterday, most of the businesses, most of the shops along the road, they couldn't make sales because water not just flooded their shops, but the entrances, they couldn't pass. Some people were even stranded on the road and in their shops. So it's not that the sun helped in drying it up. It's that perhaps they found a way to help into any part they could find.
All right. Thank you so much, Elijah, for giving us time to get, of course, giving us on that situation. It also paints a picture of the possible damage that the flood could do to the roads if the flooding is not looked into, because you can see the quality of road there. It's very good. The coal tar is doing very well. But if the road is continuously exposed to this, you can imagine you might have worse within that area than what happened after the collapse of the Artisan Bridge. Thank you, Elijah, for joining today.
Okay, you're welcome. There's something that I may want us to take note of.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, the policy on waste disposal needs to be implemented because if we look at one.
Okay, Elijah, I think you're having a little challenge with your feed, but if you can hear us, go ahead.
The causes of this.
Okay, Elijah, if you can take that again. Take that again.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, aside the fact that aside the fact that they got.
Okay, Elijah, we've lost. Yes. All right, go ahead.
Bad or what are the situations where what are the situations where refuse are dumped inside the gutter? So this will block the exit through with water to the back. If the government do not implement their policies on waste disposal, people will keep dumping their refuse inside the gutter. And you see, this road is very fine, but you see, refuge have blocked the exit through which these waters can pass. So that should also be another angle to also look at this issue.
All right. Thank you, Elijah. We'll have to let you go at this time because of time, and of course, we still have another assessment to go. But thank you, and we'll definitely keep following up. We can see the sun rising behind you, and not only is it heating you up, but it's also drying up what's left of the water. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And have a great day. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, now sources within the area are revealing to Afia TV of alleged plans by the Enugu State Universal Basic Education Board to sanction teachers who granted interviews to Afia TV concerning the flood at the primary school section of that Ugwoye Road, where we talked about 3 primary schools being within a compound and a church nearby. Now, sources are claiming alleged plans by NSUBEB to sanction teachers that spoke to Afia TV, reporting about the negative impact of the flooding on activities of the school and the pupils themselves. Don't know if it's true. We hope it's not true, but definitely this is something I think will be in the place of Afia TV political and economic correspondent to weigh in on and tell us what he thinks. Nnadi, please go ahead.
I mean, first and foremost, I think the people who give interviews, like every concerned citizen, is entitled to do that, to shed light on the problem they have, particularly one that affects children, minors who cannot speak for themselves. You as a teacher are a custodian of those children, and if there's something adversely affecting them, it's your job, it's your duty to speak up. So there's nothing the teachers did wrong. And if indeed it is true, we cannot confirm it is true, even though the sources are there, in Nsuka, but saying that if it is indeed true that teachers may be sanctioned for granting interviews for painting the government in a bad light, because maybe they want to try and link it to some maybe wrongly used or outdated Civil Service Act that do not tarnish the image. I don't think complaining of flood is tarnishing the image of the government, because if you say that, then you are admitting that the government is culpable in whatever caused the flood. Because if you're saying it's a natural disaster, how can it be the government's fault that you're calling their attention to a problem? And let's be honest, the teachers are bound to be frustrated. 2019 there was a flood issue, erosion action. 2020, Ugwoye had a committee sit down to talk about the flood in the area. 2021, 2023, the same issues before the new government entered. This flood, at least the first time I knew about Nsuka flood and the erosion issue, contacted NGOs, federal government, FEMA, government committees. It was in 2019 that I even started here. So you can imagine that this is not something that started today. This school probably gets flooded every year. The area gets flooded every year. Red sand is deposited every year because there's an erosion problem attached to it that nobody's talking about. So at a point, people are frustrated. Imagine Elijah is saying that even with the sun, the water penetrating to other places, the field is still flooded. Children can't play there, yes. But how about germs, infections, and insects that would lay lava there and all sorts of waterborne diseases that can affect the students? Nobody's thinking of that. If indeed NSUBEB is saying this, it's very disgraceful. I hope it's not true. Because if it's true, it smacks of gagging teachers and saying that, why? I don't understand. It means that you yourself don't believe that your teacher is a citizen and has a right to speak to the press about a problem. Is NSUBEB the one in charge of flood? No. Does the state government control rain? No. Was this problem there before they came? Yes, decades. So why is it that somebody who is saying, oh, government, before you came, we've been having this problem, and you suddenly say they're putting the government in a bad light, according to what we're hearing? I hope it's not true, because if it is high-handedness and a lack of situational awareness. That's what I would say about that.
But then bringing this into the forefront, it's not because the media is, torchlighting and putting focus on this issue right now. And apparently that's even the reason why they are trying to gag, if that's the case, the teachers for speaking to the media on talking about this issue that has been persistent for over the years. Yes, they tried working on it sometime in yesteryears during the leadership of Lawrence Ugwoye. But you see what happened. We are speaking to the Commissioner for Environment. He's talking about more of a structural problem, not even the human factor we thought, like people throwing dirt in the gutters and all that, right? So, and also he's going to call on the RCC to come and work on the issue, trying to solve the issue when they're done doing whatever they're doing. So my issue is, if the media wasn't, putting pressure and talking about this issue, would they have that conversation and start even trying to gag if is what it is?
I mean, the issue of it being a structural issue is something we need to talk about very important.
That's right.
Nsukka is a hilly place. So the topography, even at that height, there are rises and dips. And anywhere there's a dip will collect water temporarily. Anybody who is constructing a road should arrange, you have flood drainage, special flood drainage, that in areas that might collect water, you put your storm drainage there. It's very big, it's very deep, and it takes, and it's the slope is very steep to wherever it's depositing the water, so that very, very quickly it can evacuate water from where water is gathering. You go to a place, you notice that the drainage is very, extremely deep, and it's made very, and that's the reason for storm drainage. It's something that anybody who was doing the road should have done. Probably when the roads in that area have been constructed, the drainage were constructed like normal drainage, and environmental impact assessment was not done properly. These things happen, you know. So to now come and try to put it at the doorstep of let's say an end user, somebody whose only problem is this flood is affecting these kids, of whom I have to take care of. I think it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Right. Now, we also have received informed reports that the state government has ordered an investigation somewhat into that incident and is trying to fix the problem. But you have the stakeholders being accused of, instead of focusing on the situation, the flooding, they are instead trying to find out who said what to whom and with what effect. That's what we're seeing here. So instead of realizing that this is a chance for you to bring up the plight of the people, instead is being seen as a chance to find out who would speak. Now, according to sources as well, we're made to understand that the chain of command or the chain of information should have been from the teachers to perhaps the NSUBEB board before going ahead to speak to the press. That is what we're hearing about. What do you make of that, you know, call for that chain of communication to be followed? If it's something that is so devastating and is continuing to happen, must NSUBEB, if they are truly culpable in this allegation, should they be waiting for that communication before escalating the problem themselves to the state government, who we are made to understand is actually trying to investigate into this?
So the one point that you raised here, which is very key, is that it should have been the job of NSUBEB to raise awareness to the government, raise the plight. In fact, NSUBEB should have been the one on the government's neck. This flood is affecting our schools. They should be part of an important stakeholder group in the area, pressuring the government to do something about it. Now, as someone who is, you know, trained, versed, and has worked in corporate communications and has even structured organizational communication for companies, I'll tell you this very easily. What if that is, if they are indeed doing this and claiming that people do not follow the chain of command, what they are saying is absolutely fallacious and wrong. Number one, the teacher who spoke as an affected citizen. They were not speaking on behalf of NSUBEB. They were not speaking on behalf of the school. They were speaking on behalf of somebody who is in this, as somebody who is in the school. They did not say representing the school. We, the school, are saying. Don't forget that a teacher is a citizen. That's a mistake we make. That your job is a teacher does not mean you're a citizen. It's like saying because I'm a press man, I don't have another thing I'm doing as a citizen, that I cannot make a complaint about something, that I should first go to my office and tell my MD, then my MD will raise the... You know, people have lives outside work. And if there's something affecting the environment at my place of work, you're not blaming NSUBEB. NSUBEB does not cause the flood. NSUBEB does not build drainage. NSUBEB is you should even be telling the governor, look, even my teachers are unhappy.
Right.
Because the teacher is just speaking as a teacher, not this military government mindset of chain of command. There is process, but that's what you're making official statement.
All right.
This was not an official statement.
Now we're out of time for the show, and we understand you have to opt for the business morning. If in fact those teachers are sanctioned, perhaps relieved of their duties, what are the implications of such an action?
The implication is that if true, I don't think I hope it's not true, but if it is true and any teacher is sanctioned, relieved of duties, I mean, I'm putting my heart out there that I'll be seated as a witness in court, because the class action should be filed, because I think if it is true, that's high-handedness, that's discrimination, that's intimidation. But you know, it's still reported.
Right. I just hope it's not true. I just hope.
All right, on that note, we would draw the curtains on the morning show today. I mean, well, a lot has been said about Ugwoye, and we do hope that the actions of the state government yield results, desired results, to return that place back to sanity. And we'll continue to monitor developments in Nsukka concerning this situation, and of course, bring your insights as we do continue on this enduring journey. That brings us to the very end of today's edition of the Apia Morning Show. I've been your host, as always, Nnadi Uku.
And I remain OG Nwachuku. Have a great day. Bye for now.